Hello friends and welcome back to the HTML tutorial. In this video we will talk about HTML tables, that is how to create tables in HTML. Now in HTML a table is defined using the table tag, and syntax for the same is opening table tag and then there is a closing table tag. Okay, now we know that a table is based on rows and columns, but HTML code for a table is always based on rows and never on columns. That is, we define a row and then divide that row into number of columns which we want to insert in our table. And each table row is defined using the tr tag, and then we use the td tag to create the data cells. For example, tr tag, that is table row, first row. Okay. Now we want to divide this row into two columns or data cells. We use the td tag, that is row 1, divide into first column, close that column, and then again divide into second column, row 1 but column number 2, and closing that column. Let me take border attribute for the table to make the division more clear. Okay, save the changes and run your browser. You can see the result that first row is divided into two columns with a clear border. Okay, we can use more rows, more columns. For example, let me take another row, and first column of that row, that is row 2 but column 1, and close that column. Again column 2, row 2 but column 2. Okay, close that column also, and then close the row also. Okay, save the changes. You can see that table is divided into two columns and two rows. Okay, now we will use some attributes to make our table more clear. First of all, table heading. Now for heading we always use first row of the table. That is, when we start the table, then we use a row which will contain the heading. Now heading, it can be defined using the th tag, and by default the table headings, they are bold and center. For example, I wish to add first row but with the table heading. Okay, let me close the row first. Now we will be using our table headings, that is th tag. Let the row be divided into two columns. First column heading will be first name and close the table heading. Then second column table heading, let it be last name. Okay, then close the table heading and close the row. We have closed it. Now change the content of our previous rows. Let the first names be James and last name be Smith. Okay, and second row will contain, third row will contain the data, say any, and the name, last name as French. Okay, and this will produce the following result. Okay, you can see that we have three rows, two columns, and first row is the heading, which is by default bold and center. Now we will be using two more attributes, that is called cell padding and cell spacing, which will be using to adjust the white space in your table cells. That is, this is the white space which will be adjusting using the tag cell spacing, and then we'll be using the cell padding. Now cell spacing attribute, it will define space between the table cells, while the cell padding represent the distance between cell border and the content within a cell. Now these are the attributes for table. Let it be cell padding, value say 6. Okay, cell spacing also, and the value be 6 again. You can see the change, it's more clear now. Okay, now sometimes you want to merge some columns, some rows, and we will be using call span, row span attribute for that purpose. That is, you will use call span attribute if you want to merge two or more columns into a single column, and in the similar way you will use row span if you want to merge two or more rows. For example, I want to merge the table heading, that is row span equal to, let it be 2, and then for a column also let it be for any French. Okay, let it be col span equal to 3, that is I want to merge 3. You can see the changes. Firstly, I used row span for the table heading, that is to span 2 rows. It will be spanning 2 rows, it will be covering 2 rows for the first name only. And then I used col span, and that value was 3, and see, it is spanning 3 columns. That is, in the previous row we have 2 columns, first column that is spanning the 2 rows, and then in the last row we have a column which is covering the 3 columns, that is which is equal to 3 columns. Okay, now we can also specify table backgrounds also using the bg color, background attribute, border color. For example, we use the bg color to set the background color for the whole table or just for one cell, and background attribute also we can set the background image for the whole table or just for one cell. For example, let me use border color first. Okay, and let it be green. Save the changes and refresh your browser, and the border will appear green. Okay, now we can use the bg color also, that is background color. Let it be bg color, let it be yellow. Okay, you can see the background of the table is yellow. Now we can also use the background. Okay, here is an example of background attribute. Here we will be using an image which is available in our web page. Okay, background is equal to the name of the image, and let it be testpic.jpg. This image is available in my web page. See, okay, but this doesn't look good, so we'll remove the bg color also and the background image also. Okay, open it again. Okay, now we will talk about some more attributes, but remember that bg color, background or the border color attributes, they have been deprecated in HTML5, so do not use these attributes. Okay, now we will also remove this. We will only use the border color because it appears good. Okay, now we will talking about the height and width of the table, that is we can specify the height and the width for the table. Let the width of this table be 400 and height of this table be say 150. Save the changes. Okay, now we can also add caption to this table using the caption attribute. Let the caption be customer details. Caption will appear on the top of the table. This is the caption for the table. Okay, now we will be talking about the table header, body and footer. Now table can be divided into 3 portions, that is a header, a body and a foot. and we use three elements for separating the head, body and foot of a table, that is t head to create a separate table header, and t body to indicate the main body of the table, and t foot to create a separate table footer. But it is notable that t heading, t foot, these tags, they should appear before the t body tag. For example, let me consider an example. Okay, caption. After the caption, let it be table head. Okay, t head tag, and then this is a table row. Okay. Okay, let me remove some of the tags and attributes to make it more clear. For example, heading and footer. Okay, remove all the content. Okay, table header, the first row and the first column, and this is a table header. Close that table header, and then close the row also. This will be the table header. Okay, then we will have t foot, not the t body, t foot. This is the sequence for these three tags. Okay, t foot will have one row. Okay, you can use any number of rows, one column, and that to footer. Close that, and the row also. Third will be the t body. Remember, first t head, then t foot, and then t body. Okay, that will be t body, and we'll be using a row for this also. Tr, and then data using td tag, and this is the body. Closing the td tag, closing the tr tag, and closing the t body tag also. Okay, closing the t foot tag also, and t head tag also. Okay, save the changes. See, this is the header, body, footer. Okay, we can divide these header, footer in rows, columns, whatever we want to do with them. Okay, now we'll talk about nested tables. Okay, let me just remove all that. Okay, now we can use one table inside another table. Not only the tables, but you can use almost all the tags inside the table data tag, that is td tag. Let me take an example first. Okay, for example, we have a table, and border of that table, let it be 1 only. Okay, close that table, and we want to nest another table inside this table. First of all, this table should have at least one row that will contain the another table. Okay, let me take a column also, and let it be first cell in first table. Okay, and we will take cell that is right, will have the second table, that is the cell to the right has the second table in it. Okay, and close this column. This will make it more clear, and then take another td table, that is another column, which will take another table as its value. Okay, close that table, and then content of table, let it be first row. Closing that first row, and the data of the row, let it be first column, nested table. Then close the first column, and let me take another row, that is tr, with one column, that is nested table. This is a table, close that column and close that row also. Okay, save the changes and let me see the result. This time you can see that we have one table, first cell in the first table, and to the right of that there is a nested table. Okay, you can also specify border for this table to make it more clear. Okay, let me save the changes. Okay friends, this was all about tables. These tags and attributes are more than enough to create your table, but remember, don't use the tags which had been deprecated by HTML5. Okay, we have more tags for that purpose. We will be studying one by one all the tags of HTML5. Okay, so thank you for this video.